I got down to 5% body fat for my bodybuilding competition. That's leaner than most people will ever get in their entire life. Don't believe me? I wouldn't either. But here is a quick DEXA scan that I did just 1 week before my bodybuilding competition. And you can see here, we were at 5.7% body fat. But before you close this video thinking, well, that's not for me. Getting to 5% body fat meant I actually had to lose 15 kg in just over 6 months. And I didn't do it by starving myself or doing any type of extreme cardio, which is what most people would assume. I was still having 5 meals a day and doing just a maximum of 13.5k steps a day with 30 to 35 minutes of fasted cardio max. And if this sounds too good to be true, well, it shouldn't, because dieting shouldn't be hard. So in this video, I'm going to be sharing with you the 5 most important things that I think everyone should keep in mind whenever they're doing their cut. Whether you're trying to lose 15 kg like I did, or just trying to lose your first 10 pounds. Now, before you get too excited, I just want to quickly clarify something. Losing weight isn't actually the hard part. Anyone can actually lose weight just by eating less. The hardest part is actually making sure you can lose the right kind of weight, and just making sure that you're still progressing and you can actually stick to your diet in the long run. And that's where I made some of the biggest changes in my cut. So let's start with number 1, the actual foundation. I'm sure you heard this a lot, but you gotta prioritize your protein and you gotta make sure you're training hard, because this is the one thing that everything else depends on. You see, your body actually needs a reason to keep on those muscles whenever you're doing that cut. And these 2 things are the biggest pieces to solve that puzzle. First, protein. Protein helps support muscle retention while you're on a deficit. Without enough of it, some of the weight that you lose can come from muscle as well as fat. And obviously that's not what we want. So as a general starting point, start with 1.6 to 2.2 grams of protein per kg of body weight, which means for someone who is 70 kg, they should be having around 140 grams of protein. And this should be the minimum that you're doing every single day. Now, the second part of the foundation is training. To make sure you're still keeping all your muscles in your cut, you need to do some sort of resistance training. Resistance training gives your body a reason to actually hold on to the muscle, because you're basically telling your body that, hey, I still need these muscles to actually push these weights. So whenever you're trying to lose weight, make sure you still keep your resistance training, and also do not change the style of your training. The amount of sets and the amount of reps should be exactly the same as what you were doing before. Because on your cut, one of the most important metrics that you can actually track is your strength. And so that's why if you can maintain your strength throughout your whole cut, you're not actually losing muscle at all. And by the way, for most beginners, you don't need to be training 6 times a week either. Your body still needs time to recover, so 3 to 4 good resistant training sessions is actually already perfect for you. But of course, you have to make sure you're actually pushing in your sets. So that is the foundation that everything else sits on. So now that we have explained the foundations, let's now move on to number 2. And that is, you should only change one thing at a time. Because here's a mistake that I always see people do. Whenever they do their cuts and they see their progress stall, I see people change everything at once. They suddenly reduce their food, they increase their cardio by like a ton, and also like you add like way more steps. And changing so many variables at the same time, it might feel productive, but in reality, it's actually much harder to know what's working. Because changing everything at once, you're just doing way too much, and it's just not sustainable in the long run. And at the end, you might be burnt out, and that's not what we want. So here's what I did to get myself down to 5% body fat without burning out. I put these 3 variables in an order like this: calories, steps, and then cardio. So calories would always move first in the order, and the steps would only increase once the calorie adjustments were not enough to keep the progress moving. And I would then add cardio if both of these weren't enough. And to be honest, I only started adding them when I was very deep into my prep. Now, the reason why I have these in this order is just down to how sustainable I can actually keep it. For me, eating a bit less food is just easier than doing a bit more steps. And doing a bit more steps is just easier than doing a bit more cardio. So for you, if you prioritize having more food, then your order could change. You can start by increasing your steps and then your cardio, and only at the end, when you're starting to plateau in both of them, reduce your calories. And that's completely valid, but the most important thing is adjusting one thing at a time. Just make sure you don't slash your calories, double your cardio, and start adding like 10,000 steps overnight. Just make one adjustment and then reassess after the end of every week. Alright, number 3, your deficit isn't actually fixed. This is probably the biggest misconception I see when it comes to dieting. A lot of people calculate their calories in day 1 and minus 500 calories and assume that that new calorie is always going to be their calorie deficit. And just by sticking to this number, they will lose weight every single week after. But that's not actually the case, because your body is actually changing while that diet is happening. As you lose weight, you become a smaller person, which also means your energy requirement also decreases. And so your deficit actually becomes smaller and smaller over time. You see? So that's why you shouldn't think of your calorie target as something that is permanently fixed. In my case, my calories actually dropped like 5 different times throughout the entire process. And every time I dropped it, it was around 200 to 300 calories. And I only made the adjustments when I actually saw my progress genuinely slowing down. But here's the thing about everything I just described. If you're gonna make small and precise adjustments for your calories, you need to actually know where your calories are at in the first place. And honestly, that's one of the hardest parts of dieting when you first start out. Throughout my entire prep, I was tracking my calories, every macro change, every meal change, and I was doing it all on Excel sheets. And looking back, I really wish I had a proper calorie tracking app, especially when I was first learning about how to manage my diet, which is why I've been using ANIQI.
Let's say you make this amazing breakfast and you forget to track your calories. Well, with ANIQI, you can just take a photo with your food and it estimates the calories and macros for you. It's super simple and effective and helps you remove most of the guesswork when you first start off. And you don't have to manually enter everything every single time. What makes ANIQI so effective is how easy it is to use, which helps you build consistency in the long run, which I talk about as well later in the video. But being consistent is one of the most important things for anyone trying to lose body fat. Now, from my experience, the AI scanning does make things super simple and pretty damn accurate. But if we're trying to track with 100% accuracy, you can also adjust the foods after with their huge food database that has thousands of options, or simply just scan the barcodes from the packaging of your food. So if you want to make real progress losing weight, use code VHOFIT to start your 3-day free trial.
I'll leave the link and the code in the description, or you can just scan this QR code to get started. So here's how you can also apply this to your own cut. Once you've set a target for your first week, don't decide on the full calorie plan from day one. Set a reasonable starting point and start tracking your progress every single week. If you've been stuck on the same weight for a week or two despite being consistent, then that's when you can consider doing a small adjustment. And the adjustment, as we mentioned in number 2, it can be cardio, your steps, or just decreasing your calories. The goal isn't to make these huge adjustments, but to make the smallest adjustments necessary to keep progressing. Okay, so now continuing on to number 4. Track consistently, not perfectly. Here's something that trips up most beginners when they first start off. If you're not trying to get to 5% body fat or compete in a bodybuilding competition, you can have a bad day. Maybe you eat out, maybe it's your mom's birthday, or maybe you just go over target for that day. And suddenly you feel like your whole diet is ruined. And what do? You either stop tracking for the rest of the week, or you swing completely the other way and just suddenly undereat the next day just to try to make up for it. But both of those things can actually do more damage than the original slip-up can have, because your diet is not going to be ruined by one imperfect meal. It's only going to be ruined when your one imperfect meal becomes, well, I already messed up Monday, let me just start again next week. And then the Monday becomes next week, or the week after, or the week after, and you just start to procrastinate. And the truth is, losing weight, you don't have to be perfect. You just need to be consistent enough to actually see what's happening. So if you don't know what the exact calories is for that one meal, just make an honest best estimate and move on. A rough estimate every day beats a perfect log on some days and a blank on other days. And that's what consistency actually looks like. Now for my last most important thing, don't trust a single weigh-in. This is one of the biggest reasons why beginners quit so early. You step on the scale one morning and you're up a kilo, and immediately you think, oh no, my diet is not working. But this is something you gotta understand. Your body weight can change because of all sorts of different things, like your hormones, having higher sodiums in one day, more carbs, more water retention, you trained a bit harder for the previous session, and you can simply be weighing yourself at a different time of day. And there's just so much more. I've had entire weeks where my weights would just keep fluctuating. And I had days where my weight would suddenly jump, but it has nothing to do with fat gain. So that's why you can't judge your diet based on that one weigh-in. Instead, you should look at the trend. If you're weighing yourself regularly throughout the week, use your weekly average instead of obsessing over the number from one morning. And also, I highly recommend taking progress photos. For these progress photos, you want to be as consistent as you can. So for me, I take progress photos every Sunday after I wake up and use the toilet before I have any food. Because most of the time, the scale itself doesn't actually tell you the full story. And especially when you're starting off with your fitness journey, your weight can actually look the same while you're building more muscle, because you might be losing fat at the same time. And that's exactly why I like to use multiple data points. because having all these different data points just gives you a better understanding of how everything is working with your diet. And you don't need to pick one and just blindly trust it. So look at the trend over the past several weeks, and if you have a random weigh-in that just doesn't look right, don't panic. So those are the 5 most important things when it comes to losing your first 10 pounds. Number 1, make sure your protein is high and also make sure you're keeping your resistance training. Number 2, when your progress stalls, only change one thing at a time. Number 3, understand that your calorie deficit is never fixed. And number 4, track consistently and not perfectly. And number 5, don't judge your progress based on a single weigh-in. Use the full trend. None of these should require you to starve yourself, add a bunch of cardio, or add a bunch of steps. And these work exactly the same whether you're preparing for a bodybuilding competition or just trying to lose your first 10 pounds. And if you want to see exactly how I took these principles and applied it to my bodybuilding prep, which actually includes my weekly calories, my steps, my cardios, and if I had any refeed days, and how I eventually got down to 5% body fat from the DEXA scan that you saw earlier in the video, I actually posted a weekly check-in series that you can see here for my bodybuilding prep. And I'll link it up over here or in the description so that you can see it for yourself. Or if you want a full YouTube breakdown, just let me know in the comments and I'll make a video about it in the future. But I hope these 5 things can help you lose your first 10 pounds. Let me know if this helps, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace!